Mm,
Huh. There we
Oh,
go. I'm recording. It's in progress. Progresso soup.
I clicked go tit.
Go
go
tit.
tit.
Go titty. Let's
Go
see.
tit or go home.
Who did Emmett Otter? Um
I think that was him, but I could be I'm terrible at preparing for these things in that I don't.
oh no,
What name are you looking for?
we're trying to figure out if Jerry Nelson did Emmett Otter or not.
Yep,
I just think
I'm very fast, like Chuck was saying yesterday.
Yes, he is.
He
Okay.
did.
Yes. So
Told you.
whoever wrote his own thing. No, I was just like on the page, so I mean, yeah, you're pretty quick there, but this one I guess has to have like an oral hygiene style TV guide description. Anyone wanna eat that one?
You do it.
what? Oh, I forget. How do we do them? What do we
Well,
say?
usually we do the prologue, but this doesn't have a prologue, so
Right.
just do the 3 line. What would it say in the TV guide?
In in the Rod Serling
Oh,
voice.
oh.
You
If
could
you
you could
want.
just
Well,
make up a Twilight Zone prologue for this if you wanted to.
let me do that, man. What
Okay,
do you
Yeah,
think?
okay.
dude.
We'll
You
do
can do
the.
it.
I'll have you make
Hold
one
up.
up. Okay, when you're
I'm
starting.
dry
Well,
my
we
teeth
gotta.
off.
You can think about it,
Nice.
but I do my trivia. I have to start the episode first, which I haven't done yet.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
well, tell me
You
recording.
when
know,
it's time.
first
Okay,
things first.
I'm gonna leave 5 seconds in, and then for my edit point. Hello, welcome to Time Enough podcast, where today we shall entrox the cube. Uh, we're going even more off teeter tottering from the Twilight Zone, teeter tottering a little from one step beyond with Jim Henson's The Cube, not the movie The Cube, but something entirely different that shall get into more detail in a minute with the trivia. But this is Matt here. Uh, when I did this, I was like, I have to invite Andrew for this. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, thank you.
You went in on pre Muppets, yeah? Well,
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
by side. And then when I said I'm doing the cube, Mark was like, "You have to invite me too." So we
Hello,
invited Mark to talk
Muppet
about.
and Cube fan here.
Are you more of a cubey Muppet or a Muppety cube?
I think I'm. We'll get into it. I think I'm more of a fan of the Muppets. This actually really upset me this viewing.
Okay, cool. We'll get into it
Yeah.
then. Yeah. So let me just jump straight on in. I'll do a little bit of the trivia on this. The Cube only aired twice, once on February 23rd, 1969, and again on February 21st, 1971. It was part of an anthology show called NBC Experiment in Television, which ran from 1967 to 1971. This was directed by Jim Henson. Of course, he'd go full Muppet in the 70s, but during the 60s, Henson made several efforts as an experimental film director, this being a fruit of those labors. He had previously directed Youth 68 for NBC Experiment in Television the previous year. The teleplay is by Jerry Jewell, who would later be the main writer for The Muppet Show and Fraggle Rock. He appears in this episode as a pipe smoking partygoer. Richard Shaw played the man in the cube. His career consisted mostly of recurring roles on sitcoms, including Rhoda, Phyllis, The Bob Newhart Show, and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. For the latter two, he'd appear in multiple roles, one of which was Chuckles the Clown. Chuckles will come and visit you in your nightmares, I suppose. That's what I assume. Muppety Man Jerry Nelson appears as a monk. He was best known for puppeteering the Count from Sesame Street and also played such Muppets as Sergeant Floyd Pepper, Dr. Julian Strangefork, Robin the Frog, Crazy Harry, Lou Zealand, and Emmett Otter. And Mr. Snuffleupagus. He did a lot. We can keep going with Jerry Nelson if we want to there. So, yeah. Um, real quick, what do you guys think is the creepiest clown?
The one
Who
on the
is the
right.
creepiest clown?
Yeah,
Like of any clown?
yeah.
Probably Bozo.
Okay, Mark, creepiest clown.
John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, well, he wasn't a clown himself. He just painted the clowns.
We,
You mean
well, we have the two spectrums of the answer: the everyone's favorite clown and the clown who killed people.
okay, I was gonna
There you
choose the
go.
one on 50's cornflakes boxes.
I just wanted to make sure that we encompassed all clowns.
Okay, get the whole clown spectrum.
Yes, all
Um,
clowns.
so unlike the Twilight Zone, unlike One Step Beyond, the Cube has no prologue as the man in the cube just starts talking from the get-go. So in lieu Zealand of that, we've decided Andrew is going to make up. He's drying his teeth now. He's going to make up a Rod Serling prologue for this on the spot. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if his teeth are dry enough yet, but I'll stop talking and see what happens.
Okay, let's try it. Hey, this is Rod R. Dog Serling. One character in search of an exit, stuck in a room full of people that won't let him masturbate. Can he get out? We don't know how he got in, so probably not. His destination? A hallway into Twilight Zone.
Okay.
Nice.
You seem to be pushing the novelty edge, but maybe that's because you're thinking of what to say.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That's pretty hard. Pretty hard job.
You didn't hear how you said room, I think. It had like 8 syllables, so it was great.
It was intelligible.
So Mark and I guess saw, and Andrew did, but Mark and I were there at the same time when they had that Muppet or Jim Henson exhibition in Atlanta, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You could watch
History Center.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You could watch all of Timepiece, and they had like 1 minute of this playing somewhere.
Yeah,
it was just a short bit of it.
Yeah, and that apparently stoked you to go watch the whole thing before YouTube was really up and running.
I believe YouTube was up and running. That was like because you were living back here after getting married, so that would have been like 2009 or 2010.
Is that when like YouTube videos couldn't be longer than like 15 minutes though?
Yeah.
I don't. I found it online somewhere.
Right,
it may have been
okay.
on myspleen.com or something like that, like one of those cool torrent sites. But
right, okay. So you went out and immediately fetched it. Where I didn't see the whole thing until like this year. I was reading the Jim Henson biography and I was talking. I was like, like when we were at the museum, it was like, it'd be a lot of trouble to get it. But you're reading a book now and you're like, hey, it's probably on YouTube, and it is.
I didn't know that you hadn't seen it because Video Library had it.
Oh, okay. No, I hadn't seen it except for the 1 minute at the Atlanta History Center. So.
Yeah, it had both of the episodes, the Youth 68 and this.
Okay.
But not Timepiece.
So when did you first have a glance at this one?
I saw it, yeah. Guess that was probably 98, 99. And then I saw Youth 68 at the same time. And then it showed up on YouTube, I don't know, less than 10 years ago.
Yeah. So it just kind of, didn't like get on my radar for a while, I guess. Things drift in and out of your radar. I mean, when you think Henson, this isn't the first thing you think of.
No.
Although I think it's definitely one of the cooler things he made. It's just not, for you, there's no puppets.
Well, to me, this definitely foreshadows the what was the hybrid show he did that was the last thing where half of it was Muppets on a space station and half of it was like
the Jim Henson show,
the storyteller thing. Was that what it's called?
Yeah, it's just the Jim Henson show, something.
Yeah,
like
no, storyteller was all like new stuff. There were no Muppets in that.
Well, I mean, there was puppets, right?
Both of those.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Both of those segments. I think the space Muppets in space thing had a definite claustrophobia to it that this reminds me of. If that makes any sense. It was definitely sort of that show was sort of dark in a way that this reminds me of. Both halves, really.
Yeah, I can see that. And actually, that show is supposed to be more along the lines of this experiment television thing where it would have been a complete episode of The Storyteller and then a complete episode of something whack Muppets. And I think they're like, no, you have to put it all in the same show, like every week. So it kind of broke the show.
Yeah, I don't think it lasted very long.
No, like less than a season, I think. I mean, yeah, it doesn't have so many episodes, but hey, you could almost slot this in as one if you were like having a review. Well, that's 20 years later, so maybe not.
Maybe.
But yeah. Mark, you said this viewing scarred you this time. Probably maybe
Yeah,
because you
for
were
a
just
lot of
hanging in a
reasons.
hospital. I don't know.
Yeah, I was in a hospital for a week recovering from pancreatitis and not able to sleep a lot of that time. So I was definitely sort of, there was a time when I was convinced I was in a different room, even though I'd been in the same room because I just was hallucinating from not sleeping enough. But, and, obviously can't leave. But also the pandemic and also just whatever the crushing mediocrity of middle age too. This definitely reminded me of that too.
So is this about the crushing mediocrity of middle-aged you?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
is. It really is. The guy's kind of a schlubby, and then no one takes him seriously or listens to him, even though he's obviously used to being listened to and taken seriously. But you could definitely take that as a metaphor for getting just a little bit older where people aren't super hot for you anymore, for a lack of a better term.
He doesn't seem to know who he is.
Yeah,
I mean that for me
that's
that's
true.
one
He
of the
does
more
have to find that out, but you know,
yeah,
it
for
it,
me
it
that's one of the more
feels like that.
interesting that's one of the more interesting things here, that like if he was like, hey, I'm a, even in a Twilight Zone, he'd probably be they'd probably make it clear he's like a a salary man or an ad man or something, probably an ad man. That makes
You
the
like
most
to
sense.
see anyone in advertising suffer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So oh, especially
For
by
good reason. Yeah.
1969.
Yeah.
But hey, we wouldn't have the Cookie Monster if he didn't do ads. That was he was first in
No, I was talking
IBM.
about Rod Serling.
Oh, right. Jim Henson too, though. He was probably tired of ads by 1969.
Yeah, well, making them, sure.
Well, yeah.
So yeah. I guess for a lot of creatives, advertising is just like, I mean, of course you can make a creative ad, but the general push of advertising is the least creative thing possible.
Yeah.
So, but this is just a cipher, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that mean can you paint yourself on this guy a little bit? Is that why? Maybe Mark, you're doing
A
that.
little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
a little bit. I don't. Well, I mean, maybe that's also a modern problems thing where right now there's a definite like several breaks in the what would you call it? Supply chain isn't the right word. There are staffing problems everywhere. So if you need to get something done and you need to go somewhere and get some help, then it's like 50-50 you're not going to get listened to, if that makes sense. It's like
That
like the time I brought my car to the dealership and they lied to me saying that they were looking at it for like 2 weeks and basically just kept it for a month.
My God.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that happens to a lot of people. That's happening to a lot of people right now, though.
yeah. I mean, Japan's a different thing where I am. I don't. I mean, we are getting
Yeah,
more and more understaffed because everyone's getting like super old, right? I
yeah.
think that a quarter of the population is now. I think it's one on out of 10 people are over 80 now in Japan.
But there's also a cultural thing where in Japan in America we work ourselves to death until we can't be bothered to care anymore. And in Japan, it's sort of a cultural thing where you give it your best, I guess, until you die or something like that. I don't think either is specifically healthy, but
I have noticed in the past few years, especially going by construction sites where all the construction workers look like they're over 80. And that's kind of weird.
hmm.
Bunch of very
Well, I
old men
mean,
doing construction work.
man, they're probably in great shape though.
Oh, yeah, they must be in good shape because they're doing that, right? So, but, and then this, instead of having just random people, I mean, he has the repairman guy or whatever come in, but they pretty much go straight to his Total Recall family, right? So it's straight out like, yeah, this guy really doesn't know who he is because you're like, is this his real family? And he doesn't know who they are, or he doesn't seem to know anything about having a family. So family's a new concept to him.
That's also scary. That could be a metaphor for dementia if you want to go there. This could absolutely just be dementia.
Mm-mm-mm. That could be the case. I don't know. Yeah. So the guy says he'll get him anything. I guess it's a good time to ask for some hard drugs. Do hard drugs in your cube if you have nothing else to do.
But then you just like shoot strawberry jam into your arm. You'd be like, ah,
Well, he squirts ink into his face. So
that's true. So like So interestingly, I kind of almost feel like this is more upsetting than the movie The Cube to me now, and I need to rewatch that.
Oh, Cube is
Cube.
excellent, and the sequel is also, and they just did a Japanese remake also of the original Cube.
Huh. That sounds like a good idea,
Mhm.
actually. I've
No,
only
it's a
seen it
good one.
once, and it was like very, 98 or whenever it came out.
Yeah, on video. Yeah, it was that's one of the great sci-fi, like, or bottle horror, if you want to call it that. Like, Primer or any of those type
Yeah.
movies where you're basically in one setting for a long time. But yeah, it was interesting because I was like, the Japanese remade Cubes. Like, oh right, it wasn't a Japanese movie that the Americans remade for once.
It's a Canadian movie made by a man with an Italian name.
Yeah, so it's no, that's always a great one to rewatch.
Hell yeah. I love Splice. I mean, I've watched Splice a bunch of times.
Slice is
That's a
awesome.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer, like, because the movie is kind of like chopping people up a bit, right? Where this one is purely like weird psychological Kafka stuff,
Yeah. It's a completely different thing.
Oh yeah. But I find for me, like, this is my preference. And the first time watching it, it was definitely like, this is Jerry Joel's the writer. It's all Muppet dialogue in this, just without punchlines or Muppets.
It's funny.
What one of them really reminded me of Miss Piggy. I think it was the first woman who came into his room. I was like, this is Miss Piggy. Except not hitting people.
His fake wife?
Yeah, I guess it was his fake wife.
Okay,
It's hard to keep track of everyone.
Because later the blonde comes in and then turns into a demon, right? So
That was different.
yeah.
Well, there was also the one woman who like wanted to like get him on the couch and get him smashed and, maybe fool around a little bit. He wasn't thinking about that at all, which that was weird to me, because if you're stuck in a room and the fine lady walks in and is like, "Hey, here's a couch, come sit with me," you're like, is there a way to lock the cube for the next like couple of hours?
No, there's not.
That's the worst. Yeah, that was the worst to me. I was like, man, by the time I get 2 shoes off, somebody's gonna walk in. I'm like, yo, please, just if I have to stay here, I'm staying here with her.
I mean, he's probably already broken down at that point to where he's just okay, I don't know.
I was surprised that he kissed her. I'm like, and it was a crappy kiss too, because you could tell she was like, I know she was acting, and I love that thing where it's like, oh, you lost the coin toss or whatever, drawing straws. A bit like, yeah, I mean, that would have been an interesting few minutes if he would have just stopped like refusing her advances.
My note here is almost sex is so clinical in the cube. So I guess that's it. Another thing I find interesting is within like 8 minutes of this, he stops trying to get out. Like there's a few times where there's a wide open door and he's like, it's someone else's door. I mean, he doesn't even bother after the first 2 people, Like he's
not a
used to
regular
his cube
person
now.
would be like knocking people out and jumping out the door, but what was really out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the gorillas
got
get you
no
every
fun.
time. I don't know.
I left you could tell one of those gorillas with Jim Henson, like this the voice. You could so tell it was him. Sound like Rolf the gorilla.
Yeah,
that was the thing I completely forgot about and caught me totally off guard. Just the gorillas.
That was certainly the most Muppet Show moment of this thing.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, what was the Muppet rules? If you don't know how it's going to end, something explodes or something eats something else.
Yeah. Of course, it wasn't quite the ending there. So
no,
you see the ending about halfway through when he shows you the ending on the TV.
Yeah. Although I'll say what Mark mentioned about the existential stuff made me think about, at this point in Henson's career, he was thinking he was going to have like 2 lanes for himself. He would do the puppet stuff and have his commercial success, and then he would also be an experimental filmmaker, which I would think by around 69, having done Youth 68 and then Time, what was it called?
Timepiece.
Timepiece.
65, I think.
Yeah, so he considered himself to be an experimental filmmaker, and so he was going to travel in both of these lanes, and God, there was some weird story. Did you say you just read a book or a
That,
book about him?
yeah,
Am
that's
I right
right.
about this? That those guys were going around New York and just like filming random crap, and their idea was to have like a nightclub or a disco and have 16 movie projectors showing all their footage at once and like some immersive thing. This was while they were doing some of the early Muppet, like I think this movie might have came out or been made around the same time where they came up with Big Bird as a character.
Yeah, it was
So
called
I
like
mean this
Chrysalis or something like that. Yeah, that was a plan.
all right, well, so I'm not wrong about remembering that. So yeah, he thought he was going to be doing both, but you know, the Muppets ended up blowing up, and I can't even say where you might see some of this in other things. I mean, I know that Labyrinth had that Escher, massive MC Escher influence. One of my favorite rappers, by the way.
I would say by Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, that's basically Henson like tying both lanes together. I mean,
Yeah,
they're a
I
little
mean,
more they're a little more conventionally narrative than say this, but
well,
they
God, everything
definitely
could be considered experimental there was no precedent for what he was making, right? I mean,
yeah, even the Muppet
think
Show is
about
technically experimental, you know.
yeah. So
Yeah,
maybe he did.
experimental filmmaking is something I care a lot about, but it's also sort of like it's you say you're an experimental filmmaker and then you're an experimental filmmaker. It's sort of like noise rock, where it's like you have the entire world open to you and you can do a bunch of like Sam Raimi was highly experimental filmmaker when he made something that is basically, Evil Dead, which is basically more of a what most people would consider like a foundational horror movie. You don't usually get the camera work and the conversation. You sort of have to watch it to get that.
Yeah.
So I think it's usually to people's benefit when someone, no matter how experimental they are, just sort of picks a thing that they can focus on that will emotionally connect with people. Like I think the Muppet Show, if the Muppet Show hadn't happened, then this would be a way different conversation.
Oh, definitely, because he would continue to have his, Sesame Street stuff, and that was his thing for families, and then also his weird experimental shit where he could have somebody put a gun to their head,
Yeah.
or things like that, or
Well, he
bleed
might have,
strawberry jam.
yeah, he might have been more like Phil Tippett, where it's like people find out about him after they really read a bunch of stuff. He's not
Right.
just a household name. But
Matt, you saw Mad God, right?
actually, I haven't seen it yet. I've been kind of afraid to watch it.
Yo, if uh if you can see it on the big screen, do it. I mean, that is just a masterpiece.
It's
It
mad.
is
No, I
just
haven't seen that.
yeah.
I-
It premiered on uh Shudder on streaming, but then
Mhm.
Cine showed it. And you want to talk about experimental? I mean, this is a movie. It took them like what was it? Something like 30
30
years to
years.
make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and it is all kinds of like anarchic ideology. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's
I
it's incredible.
I
Like,
know it's a lot. That's why I've been kind of
yeah.
hesitating watching it.
But
Um,
even the experimental NBC thing was like kind of had trouble identifying itself because it was on one hand it was wanting to be sort of like the Twilight Zone of the 70s or late 60s as it were, have that style where somebody comes in and does what would be considered like maybe psychedelic or to appeal to that sort of audience,
To
but
the hip
also they had
youngsters.
yeah, but then they had documentaries too, and Jim Henson was really like he really did know what was up. He wasn't like a latecomer or trying to appeal to people he didn't understand. He was in those scenes and circles in like the village when he was there in New York.
well, this is here's my confession. I'd seen this before a couple of times. I thought it was just a short film. I didn't even know what NBC Experiment Television was until I looked this up on IMDb. I didn't know that existed. I'm embarrassed because it seems like something I would really be into.
Well, it's
No, they're
definitely
hard to
something that
find.
ended up under the rug. It's not like there's
Yeah.
like a DVD set for this, or I mean,
No,
people
Yeah.
don't
I
really
haven't
talk
seen
about it.
I haven't seen
32
any of the other.
episodes.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, even with the yeah, it's kind of like the Twilight Zone of the late '60s. I got Night Gallery too, so
No, I meant that was what NBC was trying to do, because you're talking about CBS with Night Gallery.
Oh, right. But okay.
I'm looking at these episodes on IMDb, and a lot of these episodes are not rated at all, which is very odd.
Yeah, again, this is a pretty obscure thing. The only reason this one is probably readily available on YouTube is the Henson thing. So
yeah, interesting. But
I mean,
I don't know.
if he had chased these with like a feature film, like an art house feature film, I guess that would have made a very different track where he still might be talking about him, but in kind of a different context,
Yeah.
Did y'all think when you were watching it, like, who would you cast from the Muppets in Sesame Street if this was an all puppet production?
I mean, Kermit would have to be in the cube. That's
or maybe like there's a regular, like a human, because they always acted with humans for the most part. If it was like Dom DeLuise as the man, or Steve Martin or somebody like that, or Richard Pryor.
The helper would be
actually it would have to be a white person, because then the black guy coming in and getting pissed at him. You make me sick.
That was great.
The maintenance man would have to be is it Beauregard, the janitor?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be the maintenance guy for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, the guitar thing, that would just be Dr. Teeth and crew coming in. So yeah. Again, a lot of this is Muppety dialogue.
That song is tight, by the way.
Oh yeah, you could definitely see them doing that song. Yeah, it is a little more funkadelic by late 70s,
And then Sam the Eagle at the front at the desk at the end.
You think Sam? Then who would have been who would have been the cops that come in then?
I don't know, rats.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, maybe that doesn't work.
Well, they were kind of like Gestapo, like with those.
What about the pigs and space pigs?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
they already got uniforms.
The doctor at the end would be Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was another doctor too at one point, comes in and takes his blood pressure and stuff, or was that the same guy? I don't know. Somebody should remake it with puppets.
Oh, Muppets.
That would be rad.
Yep.
That actually would be very. Yeah, I mean, Disney notoriously has no clue what to do with the Muppets, right? So
just do that. Do Muppets Cube.
Yeah, it would help if they didn't hire pieces of shit to like show run the Muppet stuff. So that would be a good start. But
was the most recent Muppet show good? Did that happen?
Electric Mayhem?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
It's run by Adam Goldberg. Like the Goldberg
piece of shit?
Guy. Oh yes.
Okay, I don't know. Sorry, I don't always keep up.
The last one I saw was
terrible decision. But it's I like it, but it's a Goldberg. It feels like a Goldberg, like that show, the Goldberg. I mean, it has that same. Yeah, there's some things he just doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah, the last one I saw was Haunted Mansion.
I liked that.
Yeah, I liked that. That was good.
I didn't really like the Office thing that they did, because to me it didn't work. This tried to make all the Muppets kind of unlikable, which
that was some talk about piece of shit. People
I was
writing it. They were no good, but despite itself, some of those were funny. Like I'm not one of these people that holds the Muppets in this like nice glossy case where there can't be adult humor in there. And I think Jim Henson obviously was interested in traveling in lanes that definitely were not for children in terms of his work.
Well, yeah, for me, I guess the failing of that show, and I didn't see much of it at all, to be honest, because I didn't like the vibe. But I think the Muppets are just like tired and stuff, where you feel like no, the Muppets are pretty energetic and trying to do what things and just failing miserably, which can include adult humor, right? So we're not failing miserably, barely succeeding. Let's say it that way. That's more of the Muppet vibe.
It was made for adults who grew up with the Muppets, and they knew that children weren't going to be interested in it or watch. But the thing is, they made assumptions about the adults, and that they wanted to see that. It seems that most adults want the Muppets to stay exactly the way they were and not change.
Well, it's just that was a cynical thing where it was sorry.
Not Mark's
a cynical thing. My fault. A cynical thing where they just took another format and copied it, where the original Muppet Show, there wasn't a show like that, right? I
No.
mean, I not that I'm aware of.
Mm-mm.
Like you didn't get the behind the scenes and the performance. And also part of why that worked is because regardless of how you look at those characters like Kermit or
Electrofart.
Electrofart or any of those favorites, there was a certain level of confidence in that show. Every Muppet had this like confidence, professional confidence that propelled the whole thing, and you kind of need that. I think you need the Muppets to not be sad or pathetic.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I think there's room in the world for various interpretations of these Muppets. One of the things I love about the Cube rather, is that it's so deliberately weird and so deliberately like experimental in the sense that it recognizes itself as being a TV show at one point. And I love there's a scene where somebody comments on, oh, it's when he meets the other guy that's escaped his own cube. And he's like, I stopped writing on my thumbnails because they tore my thumbnails out. And then when that guy is revealed as just being an actor, he was like, that was really awful. Like, do we need that? He's like commenting on the fact that was going too far with the whole thumbnails coming out.
And
I
I
don't-
totally
I
agree
don't
with
know.
him. It was too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I like kind of the stuff that Brian Henson has done, which is, he's into puppetry for different audiences, and so he can make whatever this. He's got some show that's not filmed but just performed that's apparently completely filthy, and then obviously the Happy Time Murders, which
It was all
when
right.
compared to the Feebles, which finally got mentioned in Electric Mayhem, by the way.
Huh. Weird.
It's y'all aren't watching it. I can tell you that
Oh.
Electric Mayhem does mention having met the Feebles when
That's
Peter
weird.
Jackson is one of the guest stars in it.
Huh. Well, yeah, like you'd mentioned, Andrew, about this referencing itself being a television show, like there was a lot. One of the most interesting takeaways I had from that Jim Henson exhibit we saw years ago was all the design choices he made specifically for television. Like there's a lot of things you don't pick up on like directly, but the way the Muppets' eyes are oriented specifically for the smaller TV screen, that they're supposed to always look like they're looking at you.
Yeah.
I think that's the thrust of it, but it was like a big thing where Jim Henson was specifically captivated by the television format when he was growing up. That was very new.
Well, yeah, the
And he was-
Sam and Friends stuff is just literally like them, hanging from the rafters and puppeteering, because whatever is off the shot doesn't matter, right?
Well, and you can
Yeah.
tell that in a similar way, Henson and Jerry Jewell were fascinated with the videotape and that whole new medium. And so, I mean, a lot of Cube takes advantage of things that were only available on that budgetary level in the videotape format. It uses a lot of what was like would be, I guess we would call it green screen or whatever.
Chroma key at this point.
Yeah, they break a hole in the wall, and there's all that weird background, and then there's times when you can tell the main actor is just in front of the screen, and they bring in something behind him just for a shot, like when everybody kind of fades into the party. There's a few shots like that when the one woman leaves and it's traffic outside. So I think part of their inspiration for some of this must have been because you would just go, oh, they were getting really high and they came up with this shit. But I think part of it is, what can we do? How can we push this medium? Because that's a question Henson asked with everything that he did, mostly puppetry. How can we push it forward? And so I just think the technology itself informed a lot of what's in the Cube.
I guess that's inherent in an experimental film. The narrative is inspired by the technical stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
And vice
or just
versa.
Hey, let's just show some weird shit, and that people like weird shit will watch it. And I'm sure there were kids that saw the Cube when it was aired those 2 times and just like thought they dreamed it.
That's a lot of the IMDb comments. Were like, I knew it. My brother and I saw this. I knew I saw it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it only aired twice, and people didn't have VCR recorders yet. So
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
seeing. Speaking of uh, the Dark Crystal, my grandfather worked for American Theater Supply when I was a kid, and so we got to see often movies before they were out at the American Theater Supply screening rooms, where the owners of Atlanta area theaters would come in and watch to see what they were getting ready to buy for their theaters. And so, yeah, we saw Dark Crystal early. And I went to school and started describing it to people, and everyone, this was elementary school, everyone just told me I was making it up and that I was a liar.
That's man, yeah, that's something I go back to a lot, is that when someone told me about the guy getting hit by the car in RoboCop with toxic waste, I thought they were making that up.
Oh God. Yeah. No, I wish
Because it sounds like something is made up.
Yeah, that disturbed me to no end when Matt Walker and I saw that together in the theater, and I was so disturbed by that. Even when I got it on videotape, I would fast forward through that part. Like, that messed me up. So disturbing.
Oh, I love that part. Play.
I'm
always notorious
to
just
love
for
it eventually.
the thing I always fast forward through is just the first face hugger coming out in Alien.
Is that right?
Doesn't bug me in
Too
other movies.
suspenseful?
Alien Covenant, I don't, when he's, hey, go look in the egg. In Alien Covenant, it doesn't bother me. It's, it's basically the same thing, but something about the
because
timing.
Alien Covenant isn't scary.
Well, yeah, but yeah, there's just something about the timing and maybe that I can never anticipate the face hugger coming out.
Yeah, no, kids now call it a jump scare, which is actually just rewording for the word surprise.
So I shouldn't keep saying that I love surprises.
No, it's fine. Just, what type of surprise? I think in the horror context, it would be a jump scare.
Well,
But
I always look away for, and this is a throwback, fingernail removal. So, yeah, the thumbnail thing
gosh.
was too far for me.
Oh my God. Yeah, we have a whole movie about that.
Oh God. Yeah, Fire Walk with Me, that beginning of that, pretty rough.
And it's so weird where the line. Oh yeah, it is so weird where the line is, because yeah, this guy's an actor. He was just pretending to be that. Of course, the other guy's an actor too. So where do you draw your line in the narrative? Would have been too. What if everybody just broke character and they had like a coffee break? That would have fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
They take a step outside the cube, have their coffee break, and then he gets back in the cube and he's stuck again.
Right. No, that's what's neat about that. And I'm kind of in two different lanes. I have my professional lane, which is journalism, and then I have my personal lane, which is, it's a version of experimental filming, I guess. We were never so inspired by the technology in a way that we were like dreaming up things to do. It was more of just like, hey, I can make these now. It's not just for people that are rich. I can make this stuff now. That was more of where the technology inspiration came from. But no, I'm about to do one, and these aren't my concepts anymore. I'm just usually the one to help carry it out. They're doing a washer and dryer that just spit clothes out at these people, and the gag reel is going to be in the movie. Like, literally, when they blow a take, it's going to stay in the movie and then have a jump edit to where the movie continues.
Right.
I've never done it before, but I think it's a great idea, other than just having the gag reel tacked on at the end as outtakes. We're just going to roll with it.
That's the Stephen Chow thing. Like, he had this thought that, like, Jackie Chan always puts a gag reel in it. Almost every early Stephen Chow movie has a take where people just crack up, and it just goes back to the film.
Yeah.
Like,
have you heard about Jason Schwartzman's J roll?
No.
Apparently, Jason Schwartzman, as an actor, at the end of takes, he'll just start improvising and saying crazy shit, and like, until they finally tell him to stop. And that's called the J roll. And all the directors that work with him, kind of like know about it, because he apparently does it all the time. So they're like, oh, you left in the J roll, like, for certain movies.
Oh, weird.
Like if he's saying some weird non sequitur, that might be why they just like left in like him improvising at the end.
See, I don't think I would be able to tell when that started and stopped in stuff like Asteroid City, you know, because this whole thing is just like babble to me anyways.
Right. So that probably, that movie, I think that might have been where the point came up. Like, hey, that movie has a lot of J-roll.
I mean, it seems like everybody's doing J-roll in that movie.
But
I mean, that's sort of Anchorman or whatever, right? Like those type of movies, a lot of
the wild lines,
massive
stuff.
tangents.
I do feel like the Cube is like, it feels improvisational, but because you can feel, it's not, because you can, so much of Jerry Jules' DNA is in it. So that's kind of a cool thing. It feels like stream of consciousness and it's being made up as it goes along. But again, with the context of knowing Fraggle Rock and the Muppet Show, it's like, no, he definitely wrote this.
Yeah. Well, the thrill for me has always been with low budget things or experimental things is being in an unsafe space where anything can happen. And there's a movie called Elevator Movie that this guy Zeb Harridan sent me in the early 2000s when Gonzorific was a blog, right? People would just mail me their weird stuff that they made and I would write about it. And oftentimes these were the only reviews ever to come out of movies because sometimes the movie themselves would never get released. And so there was a lot of kind of forgotten stuff. And Elevator Movie was one of my favorites I ever got. And it was a black and white 8mm film about a guy stuck in an elevator. And so, you know, unlike Cube, where they don't show like, where does he shit? Where does he piss? You know, where does the food come in? And that's stuff like that. Elevator Movie shows all of this stuff. And it was just filmed in a guy's apartment where they built an elevator inside of an elevator stage. So the only parts that were actually, you know, locations were going in and out of the elevator. But I mean, it's like everything from porn stuff to Tetsuo the Iron Man happens in this thing. And he's still on Twitter, but he hasn't made any other films. But that was one of the things where I was like watching it going like, oh God, anything can happen. It's exciting, I find. And that's why to me, Cube is exciting entertainment.
That's like the best, to me, the best horror movies make you feel like that. I'm not saying slasher movies aren't fun, but it's a lot more fun not knowing where you're going, to me.
Yeah, well, the more polished and professional something looks, the more ready for HBO it looks or whatever, the less you're kind of in that, you know, kind of like when people saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they're like, did these guys really kill people? Like, this movie was made by a bunch of maniacs, right? I mean, it was one of those things where you're like, is this real? You know,
like maybe not fair to single it out, but the most recent Stephen King It movie, it felt like every time something scary happened, it just went like, and then I never was surprised by any of it.
But your mic drop.
Surprised at how much it ripped off Nightmare on Elm Street, but not, you know, like part 4 specifically.
That makes sense. Yeah, I could see that, but to me it was just
badly wanted to make
it felt just so by the numbers that I think it was just sort of like I give up on horror movies for a year after that. Just didn't watch any of them.
So it's good I didn't buy those it's good I didn't get those in the Blu-ray Apocalypse a few months ago because they had both parts, but I got Mordecai instead. So you can judge me on that.
Okay. Some people like the first one, but most people think the first one is better than the second one, so I didn't watch the second.
The second one's the one that really turns on the Freddy. Like it badly wants to be one of those 80s Freddy movies. But the movie Bottoms, if you haven't seen, is excellent. Yeah, because it's kind of in a not reality in a way, but you only find that out as shocking shit happens because you think you're looking at a teen comedy, but I shouldn't say anything else.
Okay.
I would just say,
it's on my list.
Yeah.
It's very on my list. I haven't had theater money this year, but I'm gonna catch all this stuff as it comes
if I
to
paid
my
for
home.
everything that I saw, I'd be broke. Everything you see me eat,
that's
sent in.
Part of why I'm broke is because my whole life I've been paying for stuff a lot. So, you know,
been paying for it. So what would you do with your own Ramadar?
Break it.
Okay, you're gonna break the Ramadar.
Yep.
Instantly, like this guy.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be fun. Yes.
Yes. I mean, I like strawberry jam, so Ramadar on some really thick toast sounds good to me.
Okay.
Or a bagel with cream cheese and Ramadar on the top.
Can you deal with the noise? Can you enjoy your bagel with all that noise?
You have to
Well, now
stop
if
the
I
noise. You have to
destroy it,
jam.
it stops the noise, doesn't it?
Mm.
No, I'd
So
leave it on the
everyone-
wall and ask the band to come in and jam with the Ramadar.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to see the Ramadar room. What, he has a room full of them. And what's up with the chocolate rabbit? I want a chocolate rabbit. Sure, I'll take a chocolate rabbit.
No, you
What
want
if-
like a bit of a chocolate rabbit. Nobody eats an entire chocolate rabbit and goes, "That's
You're
what I
right.
wanted."
When I was
Yeah,
12, I did.
it's never like good chocolate. It's always like that Hershey's
Um,
stuff with the extenders or whatever you call it.
My favorite old meme. I don't even know if memes were a thing yet, but you remember it's Happy Easter from the one rabbit to the one that's missing its ears, and the other one's like, "What?"
Well, it's logical. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, trying to resist saying that the word meme was coined in like 1978.
I have no
Sorry.
knowledge of the word meme.
Greeting cards basically have been memes our whole lives.
Yeah. It's the far
Bumper
side.
stickers. Yeah, Far Side.
Let me
Far Side
pop.
is like the cream of the crop. That's like the best memes that have ever been made and will never be topped. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
Stephen King wrote the foreword to our memes, so everybody can just suck it.
Yeah.
So let me throw out my questions as not quite as usual. Who in this
Okay.
episode is stuck in the cube?
Ah,
I don't know. Who is he? I don't know.
That's one of the questions. Who is he, right? Is he really a person? He's just an actor. Is the actor stuck in the cube?
What was the first thing they called him? Oh, Ted. I'm going to call him Ted because that was the first name that someone called him.
Okay. I like Man the Cube. His name's Richard. Is it Ted short for Richard? Is that how it works? I don't remember. No.
oh my god, dude, that's
No.
not a thing.
Theodore.
That's not...
Yeah. Sorry, I was well, some nicknames don't make any sense based on the full name.
Like Jack Kennedy for John Kennedy. That doesn't make sense.
That makes
Jack
0
for
sense.
John. No,
Yeah.
none.
Hmm.
like Richard Rip Testes.
That makes sense.
I'm joking.
So, is there anybody in this thing? How about the other people? Are they real? Is anyone real in this?
Possibly no one.
Yeah.
Maybe the only one who's real is the lady who turned into a witch and then left into New York. What if she's the only one who's real?
Well, let's zoom out a bit from the cube and look at this place that contains several cubes, and then but there's also a warehouse, right, where deliveries are made.
Ramadar warehouse, yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate Rabbit Warehouse.
Chocolate Rabbit Warehouse.
Yeah. So you got to figure is their purpose to study people and conduct experiments or prank people, and because it was they were all saying it was a joke.
Or is it
Or
some
maybe-
weird thing to stoke self-actualization when you find your own door?
Yeah, like when he comes off of it, they'll tell him that he went there voluntarily as a middle-aged person to have some sort of breakthrough.
I mean, that's kind of a 60s existential psychological terror sort of thing. The movie Seconds kind of has that going on, right?
Oh God, yeah. I've totally forgot about that. I haven't seen Seconds in so long. I love that movie. Yeah,
I've
man.
not seen Seconds. What year is that from?
66 maybe.
Yeah.
You should watch Seconds sometime. You can watch it
Okay.
on YouTube. That's on YouTube in a good print.
Mhm, yeah.
This could be a metaphor for like Scientology or a cult, any cult, really.
Yeah, a way to break yourself free from those 1950s constraints. You know, that was the whole generation thing with my parents. The idea was to just, shoehorn your mind out from this, conservative mindset of, fall in line and, do as you're told and do what should be expected of you, and, don't go see what's beyond the edges.
I guess for
So-
a modern viewer, you'd start thinking about like an escape room as well. I haven't done an escape room, but
Maybe.
I guess they're popular these days or something.
White people really like them.
White people. Okay.
I did one at Netherworld, but it was very small, and I think someone looked up like, or someone knew that the secret to something and it kind of ruined it.
Oh,
Like
okay.
there's a thing where you have to put your hand in the garbage disposal and get a thing out of it, and it was like it went like, "Grrr," but
I think they
it
should
didn't.
just have a car, and they lock your phone in the car, and you have to figure out how to get it out.
Well, see, the thing is, this is what I like. I like laser tag, and the thing is, in laser tag, you are escaping me because I'm good at laser tag. So I
Me
don't
too,
really,
man.
yeah. Then so I don't
Well, if I'm
know
playing
that I
against a
want.
bunch of 8-year-olds, like when my daughter has her laser tag birthdays, I
Yeah.
destroy. Like the first year, I
Hell
was like, I'm
yeah.
gonna take it easy on them. They're kids, but they destroyed me. So I'm like, next year it's on.
Have you ever
I
done
killed
the
all of
thing
them.
where you get people afraid of you enough that you can just walk out and walk towards them and then they run from you? Because that's the
Oh,
pinnacle.
oh
That's
my
the
god.
best.
You
You
like
just
having
No,
terminated
eight-year-olds
that's
them.
run from you.
I'm
Yeah.
doing
You
that
just
next year. If
yeah.
she does laser tag again, I'm totally doing that.
Yeah, people are just like, ah, you're just like walking just in a straight line, not even ducking,
Yeah,
just
I don't
What
know. These
shooting.
kids today, man, they ain't afraid of
what you
shit.
do
Definitely
today?
not adults.
I
Well,
terrorize children.
well, I mean, and I
It's
guess
fun.
we should say enjoy it while it lasts, because after if school shootings keep happening like every week, then eventually that's going to not be fun for anyone at all.
No, they all know where to hide.
Okay, hide from me. I'm okay.
let
I'm
let
not
me
a school
put
shooter. Never.
let me put focus on the man in the cube for if he deserves it
Sorry,
or
yeah,
not.
we derailed like a
I
bastard.
I'm terrible. Anyway,
Does the man in the cube deserve his trip? I'm going to say no because it's made clear that he's an actor being paid scale, and it would be nice if he made more.
Right?
it doesn't seem like it's helping him. It seems like it helps him for a minute, but then it doesn't. So there, you could argue that maybe there's some version of this where he achieves getting out of the cube after like another few hours or another few years, and maybe that's good for him. But I don't see any evidence that he
Well,
is.
he's never going to get out of the cube. They made a song about it.
That's right. Yeah, we saw the ending, and he didn't get out at the ending. Both times we
I
saw
think
the ending.
I think the black guy was absolutely right. It's what he deserves.
Yeah, they say it in the episode. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
What he deserves. You make me sick.
It just depends on like what level of meta you're looking at. Because I'm sitting here talking about the
Oh.
actor. You're talking about the guys
Yeah.
eventually escaping or not, and you're talking
Yeah.
about someone else's judgment on them. So that we're talking about three different people, which is
Well, he
one
had
of the
a
reasons
he
it's
had a moment
fascinating.
of, you think about 69, 68, 67, and around, and Henson is showing his personal politics there a little bit by having him come in there and say these white room, and it's so short, but it's my favorite
Yeah.
part.
I mean,
Because he's
he might
right,
be
the guy's
dead.
right.
I think
That comes up
that
too.
the
The old
thing
guy
about,
suggests
well,
it.
that's the thing. I think
Yeah.
it's tossed out more as a red herring, or maybe that's almost like the easiest possible explanation. I think it's tossed off to be like, yeah, maybe you're just dead. But also, this is definitely still a better afterlife than a lot of uh, fictional afterlives that we know of. I mean, I'd rather be in the
Yeah.
cube than be in like hell or something.
Bill and Ted's Hell. Can you handle that?
Maybe.
Silky boys. Stuff that comes out of the butts of Chinese worms.
Let's place this on the tripometer.
5.
Not,
bro.
yeah. I mean, this is I go straight for the 5 on this one. There's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's like I think I was selling it to maybe you guys, or maybe talking to other people, saying it's kind of like this is like every Twilight Zone episode, like all at once and on one set.
Yeah.
It would be like if they made a Twilight Zone episode where the entire budget was put into one episode for the season. Was put into one episode. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
every
like,
script was put into one episode, but the budget was the
yeah.
same.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think Rod Serling probably would see this and be like, God damn it, I'm being surpassed by these youngsters. That's not how he talks. But anyway, maybe he did. Maybe
how
he
he
talked
talks
like that by
off-screen.
1967.
That's well, you got Night Carly. No, that's how after the cameras come off, that's how he talks. What you hear in the show is just his nerves make him sound different.
Yeah, he gets, he's finally able to drink some coffee, and it loosens up his teeth, wets him up, and he has a totally
And he
different
sounds like
voice.
Charlton Heston.
I feel better now after this coffee. Son
Heston
of a
doesn't have
bitch.
any lips. Chris Christopherson has no top lip. It's very interesting. The whole lip situation, Hollywood.
Hollywood lips. There you go.
Is that
You
chewing
Yeah.
tobacco or something? Is that why?
Hollywood lip. That's a great. I used to see that on Cinemax late at night.
Would anyone
Well-
like to throw out a final thought on the Cube?
Well, I know I said earlier that I found this viewing pretty upsetting. I know that when I watched it when I was younger, I thought it was kind of fun and kind of funny and was like, haha, look at this guy. And now I feel like I am this guy and I don't like it. I don't like being the guy, but I do like the movie. I mean,
Okay.
show.
I don't know. I still find it weirdly fun.
It is fun.
I mean, I'm not laughing at the guy. I'm just like, he should chill out a little bit and see how that goes, you know?
Like on our other podcast where you're always asking the percentage of dread to fun. Like I put this more in dread than fun.
Right. I mean, I think the existential dread is fun. I mean, it's like, again, there's so much of here that just has the texture of a Muppets, but just without the punchlines, The punchlines are now existential dread instead. So
Yeah, if
It
it
keeps
wasn't
it
funny,
moving.
it'd be like Obsolete Man or Falling Down or, one of these white rage, the time is moving without me and I'm no one kind of things.
There would definitely, if it wasn't fun, there would definitely be something where he just beats someone to death halfway through it, and then that becomes a problem, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe
It'd probably be one of the women, knowing how men are.
very possible.
And did you get all your thoughts out?
Yeah.
Okay. Then tell us what you're up to. I guess this is mid-October. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but
Oh my
you-
goodness.
your shizzle
Yeah,
doesn't get
man.
on the fry until November anyway, right?
Yeah. So what I got cooking, it's a Gonzorific show. This will be our 15th year at our host venue, Scene A, on Hancock Avenue in Athens, Georgia. We'll be showing the same program Friday night, November 17th, and again on Saturday night, November the 18th at, now we're on earlier, we're only around 10:30, 11, something like that. And then we'll be showing as usual on YouTube as a, YouTube premiere or whatever, the Sunday night at 9 p.m. That'll be on the 19th. I also have a book coming out called Everybody's, and the tentative release date for that is December the 1st. But as I am now working on editing Zombie Kini by Cat Wood and Holy Foley by Ebony Delight, that's going to take up a lot of time when I should be editing my manuscript. So don't be surprised if Everybody's gets pushed to next year.
I guess Mark just gets bundled
Hey,
in with
my plug
the
is
normal one.
it's Halloween. Get a 12-foot skeleton, put it in front of your house. I want to see everybody's house, the 12-foot skeleton in front of it.
Hell yeah. May they all come alive and show us what horror really is.
What if I get a 50-foot Spock instead? Is that okay?
That's
It
perfect.
could still be in skeleton form.
You have to send me a picture of from very far away from your house. You can see it.
Yeah.
How many
Okay.
ears does Spock have? 3. Left ear, right ear, and a final front ear.
Ouch.
All
Okay.
right.
As for this, it's oral hygiene. What the hell? Because it feels like oral hygiene today,
What?
doesn't it? It's time to podcast. So whatever. Strikes make things weird. We'll get back to the Twilight
Yep.
Zone, people. But it's Time Enough podcast on maybe Twitter, unless I'm paying for it. My phone still says Twitter. My daughter flipped out that my phone still says Twitter. Screw X. We're on Patreon at Podcastius, where we do lots of podcasts. Mark just mentioned our podcast 1999, where we're talking about episodes of Space 1999. The fun conceit of that show is that Mark and I don't know much about the show, but so far all of our guests are like experts. So it's like kind of interesting vibe.
Yep.
Where we make ourselves look stupid every other week. So, and then we
Well.
just sound stupid in between weeks. It's fun.
It's fun.
Fun, damn it. Okay.
Come have fun. It's fun.
Films and
well-
filth. We talk about the top bottom 100 films on IMDb. Although with the strikes, we're talking about whatever gets our goat, including like weird off-brand or foreign Halloween movies for October.
Unless the strikes are over by now.
We're gonna do October. We gotta do 2000
Cool.
Maniacs. I already invited Andrew.
Awesome. I'm glad
Bottom
that's happening.
100, also known as most of my movie collection.
I can't wait. I was saying to Matt, well, I can't wait to educate Luke about like Stone Mountain using 2000 Maniacs.
He's been educated about Stone Mountain. We've talked
That's
about
all
it
we
on several
do is
podcasts. Yeah.
Talk about racist mountain. But yeah, I also you know, I'm excited to do Creepers, aka Phenomena, which is I pulled up as a Jennifer Connelly movie that I mentioned before. You've seen that, right, Andrew?
Oh yeah. Oh,
the,
and you know
Argento
what? It's got a
movie.
Muppet connection too, because phenomenon. Do do do
Do,
do
do, do, do.
phenomena.
Do,
Do
do,
do
do, do.
bugs.
So yeah, that's what we're doing there.
Eating flesh.
Eat flesh-eating bugs. Okay. If you don't like flesh-eating bugs, there's video game podcasts like Luke Loves Pokemon, Hyrule Field Report about Zelda, and the Game Show where gamers game each other about the games. Okay, I'm finished with that. Andrew left the podcast.
Well,
wait.
do,
Here's the Jennifer Connelly movie, yo.
Career opportunities.
Oh, we can. I don't know if we can do that with the strikes, but
Who remembers the scene
Right.
where she's on like the coin operated horsey?
I do not recall. I don't think I've seen that actually.
I think I
Sorry.
saw.
That
I
was
think
a defining moment for me.
Okay.
Look it up. Google it. There's going to be your life maybe begin anew.
Right. I'll
Okay.
escape the cube using Jennifer Connelly on a coin op horse.
You'll never get out of the cube.
Dude, if we were stuck in there with her, I wouldn't want to be out of the cube.
No, if you stuck in there with her, she would be like, "Hi, I'm Hollywood's Jennifer Connelly. When
You may remember me from
and
such
then,
films as Once Upon a Time in America and Noah.
then you
No,
start
it wouldn't
talking to
be
her,
the
and then
Connelly of
someone.
Requiem for a Dream and all this. It would be the Connelly of anything inventing the Abbotts or before.
Okay.
But then someone would just walk in on you and laugh at you, and then stop. And they
She's
Good.
still a
she would
striking
leave.
lady.
Good. Nothing could stop me.
All right, I'm watching the GIF.
And
Mhm.
I decided that was my cut spot, which you interrupted by watching the GIF.
You put that in or don't, whatever you want to do.
I'm not.
Oh my God! Please end on Mark saying I'm watching the GIF.
Okay.
That would be the best ending ever.
Yeah.
I'm right about that GIF though, huh?
Yeah, pretty nice GIF there.
My
Oh, yeah.
browser's closed, so Zoom doesn't fuck up on
I'm gonna
me.
look it up later.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it. That's a boy. That
I think
really.
I think okay. I have to look at because I what year is that movie?
Just go Jennifer Connelly riding a horse.
Yeah, I'm just saying what
Into
year?
Google.
What year is Career Opportunities?
I want to say 88.
Yeah, okay, so that would have been. I'm sure I watched it like from the new release wall at the West Coast Video. Watched it at age 10 and have completely forgotten about it since.
Yeah, no, I did not wonder about my sexuality after seeing that.
91.
91.
Oh.
What?
That
91.
still tracks with the
I was way off.
the West Coast Video thing.
Damn. Yeah, that was the era.
She's young, man. She was turned 20 then. That's, she's pretty young in Labyrinth. I think she was like, what, 15 or something?
Oh well, I'm not including Labyrinth. That's.
I'm just reference point was we watched Once
I
Upon
hear
a
you.
Time in America, which had her as like a 12-year-old, and it was like the
Okay,
thing
yeah.
where it was a thing where what's his name? Sergio Leone put a stunt ass so that you thought that you were seeing a 12-year-old's ass because he was all
Oh well,
fucked
butts
up,
are
and
butts are butts. I mean,
it's Italians.
a whole lot of
It's
difference
Italians.
between.
That's explains it.
Hey, you put the butt in the movie. Yeah.
Put the butt in the movie.
But
But it
is
was
twat and that is that, eh?
but it was weird
first-
because she was like the best actor in the movie. It was just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious
When the
watching it.
Not a
adult
fan of that one.
when the
Sucked.
adult
It was
actor
horrible.
comes in, you're like, wow, this is a step down.
Yeah,
Which is the who was that? That was the
Absolutely.
lady from Top Gun.
Elizabeth. What? No, not
McGovern?
from Top Gun. Elizabeth McGovern. Yeah,
Okay.
she didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
in
Yeah, they
general.
should have made it all with kids like Bugsy Malone.
And then the kid De Niro was better than De Niro in that particular movie.
'Cause I think De Niro knew he was in a fucking piece of shit and was phoning it in just to.
You know,
I
he's
don't know.
about to be playing Travis Bickle in an Uber commercial.
I saw something that said that wasn't true, but that is like really interesting considering that I've done all this like driver gig work and like the people I've met who also do that. A lot of them are closer to Travis Bickle than anyone I've ever met because they don't vet anybody. So it's like
Oh,
these
damn.
people with like horrible, like social interaction deficiencies. Just like
Oh, they're like
don't.
the Bone Collector. Remember that movie where he sharpened his what was
I
it,
saw
the thing
that
to get out of the
opening
car? He
night.
sharpened him down, yeah.
It's
Is
like
that-
weird maladjusted people, and then maybe a quarter of them are these things where they are super serious about it and they're bragging about things that can't possibly be true. Like, I take 10 deliveries an hour, man. Yeah, I'm making $10,000 a week. And they just say shit that's just a lie. It's just
Oh God.
Gotta
Worked
get out
for
of
Bob
there.
Dylan.
Into trucker territory where it's literally you're in your own world.
Yep.
You're
It's a
in
lot like
reality.
that. It's like maybe trucker people who wouldn't be trusted with a truck.
My brother.
You shouldn't be trusted with a truck.
My brother, definitely.
Hey, I used to drive a bus. You trust me to drive
Yeah,
a
which is
bus?
bizarre considering how you drive, man. I cannot believe they let you drive that bus. I'd be like, could you give me your schedule so I go the other way?
But I'm a great driver. I'm a fantastic driver.
That's what yeah, all right.
And remember that time that we drove all the way to Chicago and back and you like insisted on driving the entire time?
Yeah,
I
that's
was
'cause
like, all right,
bus
man.
driver.
Okay. I'll just not do anything.
I'm trucking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it is weird. Like I don't think I could handle, say, 285 anymore, but I can handle these insane narrow roads that you guys probably cannot.
Yeah, that's what
Oh, no.
I always say is like I most of my family from an hour away from here has never come to Atlanta to visit us at all because they're like they're afraid of our roads, but I'm terrified of the ones that are like the 2-lane roads with the ditches on each side where people will just go super fast and pass each other. And Andrew, you're probably more used to those now.
Well,
No, they honestly, man, when I first moved out here, they had they finished within, it was not too long, they finished not 316, what's this road called, 124 or something like 441. But before that it was scary, yeah, because well, the worst part really was being behind somebody that was slow because it made you like so mad.
that's a big thing on Japanese roads because you'll be in these mountain roads and there's like the 80-plus old man driving a little white truck like at half the speed limit, and it's a mountain road. You can't pass them.
No, the worst
Well-
is driving a narrow ass mountain roads like in Pennsylvania or North Carolina where if you're driving anything bigger than like a Tonka truck, I mean they're narrow. And so I had a U-Haul last weekend, is moving my friend to Georgia, and I was on a U-Haul on some of these narrow ass mountain roads. I'm like, this is it. This is the story
Yeah.
of me. I'm just not gonna, if anybody comes my direction, they're just gonna eat it.
A
because
few
I'm
months
not-
ago, we
If
drove up
something
to the
unpredictable should happen to your U-Haul, I hope you had the time of your U-Haul.
Yeah, exactly.
nothing wrong with the U-Haul.
The
See, here
time
we went to the Oyaki village a few weeks ago, which is Oyaki's a food, but it was this mountain road.
Like takoyaki.
No, not at all.
Oh, damn
But
it.
it was winding up a mountain, and there were like no guardrails. Like, what the fuck?
Ugh.
Yeah, that road was
Yeah.
built when it was a cart and a donkey.
Yeah,
So
really.
it's not for cars to be on.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that in Japan, right? Like a
Mhm.
road a little more narrow than say Moss Oak Drive, that two cars are passing each other at full speed and then both
Mm-mm.
slope down to like rivers or something, or like
No,
there's
thank
a
you. I wouldn't
stone
even be on a
shrine.
sidewalk on a road like that.
I have become one of those people who just I drive however fast I feel like driving, and if someone tailgates me, I slow down. I'm just become one of those like obstinate. Not I don't go the speed limit, but I'll go like 5 over and just be like, I'm just chilling. I'm determined to sort of enjoy myself.
Yeah, it's these people that have the guns in their cars, man, to be like
Yeah.
the
Or
ones
do we
chase you.
do we
I
drive you
will
anywhere
probably
insane?
die from that. What?
Do we drive you anywhere insane in Japan? Like a road that just doesn't seem like possible?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
I don't recall any roads being super like interesting, but I could have just forgotten.
Well, I when you were here last, I didn't have a license at that time, so it wouldn't have been with me anyway. So
Yeah,
You
I
just
think we
watched
did a
this.
lot of walking last time. Really both times.
I still do. I only drive like 1 day a week.
See,
I
that's the
watched
dream.
YouTube videos of the world's most dangerous roads. It's a trip. Some of the things that people have to go out on, like, come on,
I just
man.
like watching the bridge that what's that bridge that eats cars? It's like the 5'8" bridge or
Yeah,
whatever it
no,
is.
yeah, no, we I've been through something like that, but it was nowhere near
Oof.
as far as like, you didn't have to go in it if you didn't want
Yeah.
to.
11'8". It's 11'8bridge.com.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So fun watching just trucks get shaved.
Continue,
That
yeah.
thing. And Russian dash cams, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little different though, because the roads are
Yeah.
fine. It's the driving that's the problem there.
Well, the thing is, the driving is just bad enough to where everyone is required to film everything. So everything that's crazy gets recorded. So
I didn't know that.
you see
That's
all
why
of it.
they're
Yeah.
all over the
I haven't watched those in a while, but I'm sure they're still good.
I watch Fail Army every week. It's the best. The editor for it is great because the old editor used to let the clips go long enough to where you'd see that the people were okay that were in whatever kind of mishap, but now
Yeah.
they don't. You just hear a scream and they cut to the next one. There's not
Have I-
even they don't even have the intro music anymore. It's like immediately people eating shit.
Have any of you guys watched the very short treks that have been coming out in the past couple weeks?
I've watched a couple. I feel like they're okay.
I didn't like the
Not
new one, but
super into them.
I like the holiday party one quite well.
I don't think I saw that one. I saw just a few random ones, and I obviously it's not a huge time investment to watch all
Yeah.
of them. But
Anyway, watch the holiday party one. I did like
Okay.
that. The other two, I was like, the first one was okay, and the third
Yeah.
one I don't think, but the second one I liked quite well. So
it's a
where I-
clever
also like
idea.
I like the
That's-
hydraulic press channel. It's just the weird
Oh,
Russian
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Have you seen like the what the Red Hot Nickel Ball
Yes.
channel?
Yes.
That's awesome.
No, I'm subscribed to it, so I watch all of them. Those. I'm not even
Yeah.
ashamed. It's genius.
Good stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's documentaries.
And he sounds like Dracula, so that's a plus.
Yeah, I remember was one of those Russian guys' videos where they just like took a microwave and smashed it and just took the element out of it. And we're just going around in an abandoned house, just making things light up by applying radiation to it. It's like, oh, look at this. The light bulb lights up. Like,
Then the classic, was it? It's I guess a dryer or washing machine with a brick in it.
yeah. Oh
Love
man.
those.
Yeah. So good. It sounds
just-
crazy.
It's just pure anarchy. I would pay to see a band that was just that. On stage,
Yeah,
they play it in.
You definitely don't want to be in the club for that, but you
They gotta
Holy
get the
shit.
chicken wire like in the
God,
Blues
knowing
Brothers.
me, I would. There'd be a pit for it and everything.
yeah, then the brick just goes like
See, chicken wire, like blue, except
Yeah.
it's not to protect the band, it's to protect the audience.
okay. Just get like go Rolling Stones Altamount and just like hire Hell's Angels to shoot at it if it throws the
That'll
brick.
never go wrong.
Free to get in, pay to get out.
Oh boy.
I've got to bound off for work, so I'm gonna stop this
All right,
guy.
y'all.